Good afternoon, it's Mark here. What I have today is a Hunter Brentwood, which is definitely one of my favorite flush mount fans. I wish it had 4 blades instead of 5, but you know what are you gonna do? Picked it up at Habitat for $20, and this is gonna be the one in Manchester, New Hampshire. Um, I've permanently installed it in my parents' basement. Um, And yeah, it works pretty well here because, as you can tell, there's a good deal of space between my head and the fan itself, so it's less likely to be whacked by anything. And yeah, it's basic 3-speed, low-profile type fan. And here you go. Start off with fast. And I'm standing under it, and it's moving quite a bit of air. Medium setting. Yeah, and you can tell what differentiates the Brentwood from any other flush mount fan, or pretty much any other fan I can think of, is it has 12 sides around the motor housing and the switch housing. Makes for a very unique design. I remember back in the late 80s, early 90s, Home Depot used to sell these, and they had these crudely drawn cartoons of the Brentwood. And you tried to draw it into perspective, so there was always one blade sticking out much further, like right there in your face, compared to the other 4 or 5 blades. And I can't remember when the Brentwood acquired the 5th blade. I want to say this one's from '93. January of '93 is when it was manufactured. So yeah, I'm not sure. They used to have 4 blades, as I recall, back in the '80s, and then maybe 89, 90, something like that. And then, I don't know, 91, 92, they picked up the superfluous 5th blade. But it's the medium setting, and it's still moving a ton of air. You can tell by the fiberglass blowing around all over the place. And I'm breathing in. I'm sure it's loaded full of cancer-causing carcinogens, but if that doesn't kill me, something else will. This is the slow setting, which is more than adequate for what it needs to be here to keep the air circulating in the basement. Actually, I stand corrected. I cut myself on that one. I said Home Depot used to sell these, and back when I was thinking, back in the late 80s, early 90s when I used to see these on the display rack. There was no Home Depot in this part of the country. There was a store called HQ, or Home Quarters, and they had so like instead of the orange and white of Home Depot, it was green and white was their color scheme, and for the uniforms and everything. And just I think a green box that had HQ in the middle, and as a logo, and very similar to Home Depot. As far as the setting. In fact, I think the HQ I used to go to is now a Home Depot. But yeah, I remember seeing they had the flyers that had the brochures that they're the weekly circulars or whatever that would have the ceiling fan section, and have just a whole bunch of crudely drawn ceiling fans that I'd say they looked something like what they were supposed to look like. You could differentiate a Brentwood from an original from whatever else they had back then. And in 1886 limited edition, of course, and they had all these fans drawn instead of photographed. But and you could always tell. I always liked the Brentwood. I always thought it was kind of cool. It's rare. I hardly ever see these anywhere. I know there's a house in my town that was just for sale, and they had two of them that I know of, at least that showed in the real estate listing. And I've driven by a number of times, and they're still, at least the one that you can see from the road is still hanging up and still spins. So anyway, yeah, that's about that. I'll give you a look of the close-up shot here. Yeah, another differentiating characteristic about the Brentwood is the distinct wing-tipped blades. There's a couple of other Hunter models that I believe have that, but they're few and far between. It's normally just the flat ends, and this has the wingtips, which is kind of cool. And one reason I plan to keep this down here. It's keep it installed and keep it looking nice and clean and beautiful. And alright, that's about it. Hunter Brentwood, everybody. 52-inch flush mount ceiling fan. And stay tuned for more fan videos. And good night and good luck.